Recorded March 17th, 2025. Happy St. Patty's Day, Brody, Ray, and
yeah, I guess this isn't really St. Patrick's Day hat, is it? I don't know what Tinka's is. I don't know if they're leprechauns or elves or what. But yeah.
Who are you? Bride, last name. I'm back. Who are you?
I'm back. Yeah.
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
I was getting worried. Great. Doing great.
You're doing great. Okay.
Great.
All right. Yeah. It was a weekend. All right. Who's going out and get plastic tonight for St. Patty's Day? Anybody?
Nope. 9-year-old. 9-month-old.
I think Brody's already it. He's all right.
I mean, you can take a 9-year-old too.
Yeah, I was on a call today with a colleague. We're working on some, of course, it's Security Copilot session for an upcoming conference together, and she had on a little green hat and she had on a green sweater, and I'm thinking, I totally forgot. I didn't even wear green underwear, so I guess I'll have to fix that later.
That's okay.
Why is it right?
Yeah. Rod, actually, if you could fix that now, that'd be great.
Yeah. Before everybody else got the memo, but you, I have mine. Everybody go do it, Rod.
Yeah.
You know, in the spirit of all of our names.
Nope, they're blue.
Okay.
I name little things are green, so maybe that's it. I don't know.
That could be it, probably. Yeah.
I'm celebrating.
So you did it. Good job.
Do it that way. Red Cup Security. Ray, what'd you do this weekend?
Oh Lord, I don't even. What did I do? Time is an illusion. Let's see. I did more capstone work. That is kind of my life. I started writing. Getting my story out there, my truth, to kind of channel some of my creative energy into a productive, constructive outlet. So there is that. I'm not as cool. So it's not on Substack. It is Medium. But I feel like Rod is the resident cool person here, and I'll just be like oh, has anybody heard of AOL screen names and away messages? Like that's kind of where I'm coming from. So there is that. Let's see, catching up on work, lots of work, which is good. These are privileged problems to have. Like they're not even problems, just like so much work. But this is all good things. Oh yes, Noodles blog. There's not enough noodle tagging though. I must admit, there's not enough noodle branding. I need more noodle is what I'm saying. So there's
a joke there somewhere. But
yeah, phrasing.
Need more noodles.
Cat laughing. A cat laughing.
More noodles for your noodle. There you go. Noodle stuff is good.
Noodle stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like his name is just awesome. It's like ramen noodles, Vietnamese noodles, rice noodles, grain noodles.
Like vermicelli, pho.
Yes.
Yeah. We got all the kinds of noodles.
Uncooked.
Noodle friendly show here. Bring your favorite kind of noodle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Noodles for everyone.
Yeah.
A variety of noodles.
Oodles and noodles.
Oodles and noodles. That was good.
That's the real thing. Let's make noodle to doodle. Yeah. And what else? I don't feel bad, Ray. I'm trying to get my writing thing up too, but I'm taking a small chunk. So my entire Substack thing is almost done. I do a little bit every day, and then one day you'll look up and be like, "Oh, I'm done." Now I start posting. I can give you some tips to lower the effort on it. And,
make me cool. Please help make me cool. I'm like so in like live journal.
You're cool. The first rule of being cool is to say I'm cool. Right? Cool. That's it. Hey, look at the noodle, make noodle.
Yeah, there's noodle.
All right. So you were doing the capstone stuff. You'll be graduating here soon, so you won't be able to say that again. You'll have to do something else. Yes. Brody, what did you break?
Well, nothing, luckily, yet. But we're working on a number of important aspects of our new Azure infrastructure build out with one of my customers. So landing zones, archetypes, aligning to the CAF 3 model, Azure policy. What else are we doing? We're talking about what else came up? What else came up last week? Yeah, customized Bastion hosts. I'm learning more about Terraform and deploying with infrastructure as code. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of, as part of the Sovereign Cloud initiative at Microsoft, there's a bunch of sovereign landing zone design principles that I've been reading up on for public sector customers, which is really interesting. There's a lot of goodies in there. And outside of that, that was the main thing I did last week. Work-wise, it's a really busy project, and I'm learning a whole lot. And I've got a great team, and I'm just happy that we're week by week winning. So,
yeah. I was actually busy last week doing real work. I write some transformations for some customers, pre-ingest for some things, and God, you just don't do something for a while. I was in ADS trying to do something, and then I took the Defender Experts plugin in for Security Copilot and I'm butchering it. I'm redoing it a little bit. I know that they're improving it, but I wanted to try something different with it. So it took a minute trying to go in and understand the format of a YAML file to get the plugin to work. All you really need is a reference. I wasted 2 hours trying to get Git to work to not realize different Git accounts. I got the enterprise account, Rod, that you and I were talking about. It took me a minute to get it federated so that I could use the enterprise on my personal account and run with that. And then I had another one I didn't know about, so I got that squared away. Hey, we need to create a Git account for the show. I think
we have one. Yeah,
you got to get it.
Yeah, you got to get.
Get it right. Did nothing. The weather here in Atlanta was beautiful yesterday. I was in shorts in the backyard barbecuing. And today we're freezing. There you go. Yeah, the world's doomed. It goes from heat to snow like that. So did some cool networking stuff. Not even bring it up because Noodle will say the stuff he uses, Tonka toys, but I got that done. Got the VMware host stood up. So now I'm ready to go up on the Noodle's toolish so he can show me how to get my Cribble environment back to where it needs to be. And what else I break?
Need more Noodle.
More Noodle.
Yeah.
And then I'm jealous of Brody. Brody's doing all this stuff. Like when I first started in Azure Architect, touching Terraform and infrastructure as code, I'm doing that. Because since you joined the show, you were all like 365. Now you swung over to Azure, Brody. You're an Azure guy.
I go where the jobs are.
Go where the jobs are. That's right. I need my money, all of it, every last cent.
Come join us in services, Edward. You'd love it. You'd be busy though, all day, every day.
Shout out to Michelle Jackman, the show's virtual Holly Quinn. I talked to her for a good while this weekend, all things Palo Alto. So she helped me on the SASE solution. She's actually pretty deep in it. That was a good discussion. While we're talking work over the weekend about SASE, I forget where I'm calling her about when we went down that road, but needless to say, that was good. And what else? Nothing. Went for a run. Drank a lot of beer, barbecued, worked in the yard, watched one of the most horrible Star Trek things that put on TV, Ray. I'm sure it's Ray's fault. Have you heard of Section 31?
Oh, yeah.
The spinoff.
Yeah. Have you watched it?
Mm-mm.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it though. I love the main actress in it. When she was on Discovery, I just loved those seasons. Like she just kills.
Oh, is that Michelle Yeoh? Is that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with Section 31? Tell me, Edward.
I've heard. Everyone's got an opinion, but I've heard it's like
they're trying too hard. They're absolutely trying too hard on the show. It looks like this. You the residents. Star Trek expert, Ray. I'll let you go look at it. It is. I turned it off 15 minutes in. I can't watch this. Is
it almost like a throwback to back in the day where it was like on UPN 9 or WB Saturday evening, 7 p.m. to or was it like 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. where it'd have the Gene Roddenberry shows, and they were always kind of like discount brand, no frills aisle, series.
It seems like everybody's looking at the camera, and
like it's The Office. Is it like Star Trek but make it The Office?
The Office of Star Trek.
It's just bad. Discovery was good. Picard was good enough that they closed it out. This seemed like they had one more thing on the contract. They said, "Let's just do this. Here, we'll do this."
It's too bad because season 2 of Discovery, when it was like the AI taking over and the Section 31 getting corrupted, was just awesome.
That was good. Yeah,
I loved that season a lot. Yeah,
just watch it, Ray. You come back. We'll talk about it next show. You tell me. Maybe I'm doing too critical. I'm being too critical. You know?
Edward, you're being too critical. I don't know. I haven't seen it either. I should go watch it. But
Yeah.
Homework now.
All right. Homework.
On
That's our
section.
homework. Yep.
Yeah,
We will report back next week.
Yeah, and Kobrowski, yeah, you're right. They're trying to make more fan films. That's what it seems like. Yes, that's exactly what it seems like. Yeah, so we're not going to do that again. But hey, other than that, everybody did something. Everybody's gainfully employed. That's good. Right?
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah.
It seems like Ray and Brody have the cooties every week, kid cooties. So God, not Ray cooties. Your daughter was sick, Ray. Brody, and he got a cold, and then Ray was sick with the worm, so she's back normal now.
Not a worm. What are we talking?
Don't get
Another Star Trek reference, I think.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, we have a guest that's sitting in the green room, eating up all the snacks, drinking up all the beer. You gotta be very careful.
Just teleported in. Yeah.
With no green on, by the way. With no green on.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Ray and I sort of coordinated our outfits earlier. I was
really.
not really. Just I was gonna wear green, and then she was like, "Well, I'm gonna wear my Janeway shirt." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna wear my Janeway shirt because it's a good story about how we met."
Yeah.
And yeah, so here we are.
You can't go wrong
Well,
with
Kat,
Janeway.
would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself before we botch everything about your bio?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Kat Daniels, I've been working at Microsoft here for about 7-8 years. I work with our global system integrators over in the partner organization, and I'm responsible for leading our security strategy. So, really what that means is we have some incredibly intelligent people in the GSI space, just some of the smartest people I've ever worked with at Microsoft, and they all go a million different directions. And my responsibility is just to sort of help people find the direction that's going to create the least amount of friction for them, and help our larger partners figure out how to build businesses based on Microsoft technology.
So you said 7 or 8 years, or did you say 78 years? Because
Oh God, it feels
confused.
like 78. No, it's been 8 years this year.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, I guess.
Thank you.
Or are you allowed to congratulate on the 8th year, or do you have to wait to the 10th year for the congratulations?
I think you can congratulate and celebrate every year. I'm trying to get into this thing where,
Oh yeah.
you celebrate the little things, you get excited about them, rather than waiting for the big milestones. Because when you get to a certain age in your life, like those milestones are further and further apart, and if you wait to celebrate those things, like then nothing seems exciting anymore.
Yeah, if you wait too long, they'll be celebrating you. I'm that age.
We talk about underwear. We talk about sharing germs. We're talking about mortality.
They're all related. They're all related. Yeah.
actually, they are. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've met you in the past before. You probably don't remember Little Peon like me, Kat. We came here around the same time. I think it was at night. But you were saying that you were in charge of the business strategy around GSI. All right, tell our listeners what is the business strategy and go to market around GSI. What's GSI?
Yeah, so global system integrators, those are your Accentures, your Avanades, your IBMs, Wipro, TCS, Emphasis. So anyone that Microsoft would consider to be a large global integrator. And so those guys are great because they're like security super glue. They're the large businesses that take all the disparate pieces of Microsoft technology and make them all work together, usually in extremely exciting, differentiated, unique, and custom ways for our partners. They operate primarily in the enterprise space. So we're talking about, the guys who are going and doing work on behalf of Microsoft at like a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi or someone who would be a household name that you would recognize. If I was like, hey, this partner's doing work with this particular Microsoft customer, you're like, oh, I recognize that customer. I use that brand every day. I drive by their shop. Like, I have warm and fuzzy feelings associated with that brand or strong feelings about it. So really, like the overall strategy for those guys is trying to figure out how we take two very large organizations, which them and Microsoft, and find a way that we can both be successful together. And that usually means being very specific about what it is we want to go do, with what customers we want to do it with what technologies. Because if you try and look at the entire picture, it's like one of those, you remember those magic eye things where if you stared at it long enough, the picture jumped out at you?
Or my head hurt and I never got it. Yep.
I was one of those people too. Like it never.
It was a conspiracy. It never. There was nothing to see. It was just
No.
everybody else saying, "I totally see it." It wasn't a sheet.
I can get behind
I
this.
said,
I can get behind this.
okay, all right, sure.
It was rudimentary catfishing. So when you were talking about GSI, you named out some big ones. So I guess in that realm, you're like DXC, ATOS, guys.
Yep.
You wouldn't happen to know a friend of the show, James Key, with you?
Oh, I know James Key very well. I was actually talking to him the other day. Yeah, so and that's a lot of what I do from a strategy perspective is because Microsoft is so big and these partners are so big that they're talking to everyone at Microsoft at different levels, different points of intersection. All this great work is happening, but it happens in these little pockets. And so the idea is how can we pull all of that together in a way where we have some sort of forward momentum in some direction in a way that makes sense for both companies. Because if you take really smart people and you don't give them guidelines and you just let them go, it's kind of like the Lego Movie and Cloud Cuckoo Land. You end up with like these crazy inventions, right, all over the place, and nothing seems to match. So that's really most of what I spend my day doing is just talking to different people at partner and at Microsoft and figuring out like how do we go do business together in a way that makes sense for both of us.
Nice. And you basically described every customer that we engage with in consulting services. A bunch of smart people with no direction.
Except for SI as having a reputation of being spoiled. That's for you. Yeah.
Spoiled.
I can't really be SI. Yeah. So yeah. On that side.
I wouldn't say spoiled. I would say they know what they bring to the table, and so they have a educated and justified opinion of their value proposition. I wouldn't say spoiled.
Okay, yeah, they throw their way around, but they
diplomatic.
Do big things, right?
They know what they want, and they want nothing but.
But there you go. Was cybersecurity your first love, or was it you backed into it? We're trying to get everybody's history and how they got into cybersecurity, because it's a rare to see someone say, "Oh, I started my career in cyber." We've had a few people that do that. So what about your history, your story?
Oh God, yeah, nothing to do with cybersecurity at all. Totally, like, I majored in economics, like nothing to do with cybersecurity, except that like economics is about incentives and how people react to changing market conditions, which is very similar to cybersecurity. Like especially if you look at cybercrime and like how those businesses evolved and how people change their approach based on whatever series of incentives are placed in front of them. But no, business background. I started at Dell Technologies, which I live in Texas, and if you live in Central Texas, you have to work for Dell Technologies at some point in your career. It's like a rite of passage. Like everyone has either a really great origin story that comes out of that, or many years of therapy. But but I started there, and I was one of those people, like if you called the Dell 800 number on the catalog, like you talked to me. I sold you probably a tower PC, a printer, and a CRT monitor early in my career, and the 15-inch, not the 17-inch.
Dude, you got a Dell.
Yes, that guy. Yeah, and I did that. I did everything from like people management to enterprise architecture for, I was working with some of the federal integrators for a while. So like Lockheed Martin, doing some really cool work with like NASA and the Air Force. And then at one point I was in Dell's channel. I was managing a team of technical sellers, and we had this big customer we were trying to win. And the Dell playbook, if someone says, "Hey, I'm going to put this stuff in the cloud," that's about like 8 years ago, we just go, "Okay, cool. Like, at what discount level will you say no to the cloud? Like, do I have to discount this 30%, 40%?
Wow.
Like, how much money will it take for you to keep all your stuff here? And the partner we were working with came back and he was like, look, I don't care how much you discount this. We're going to put stuff in the cloud. And that was a moment of realization of like, maybe I am not on the right team. Like this is not where the market is currently headed. So I moved over to Microsoft. One of my ex-managers had come over here, a woman named Rhonda Klecker, just absolutely amazing. And yeah, I've done a variety of things for Microsoft. Everything from managing like small mom and pop resellers, all the way up to like being technical architect for one of the large resellers that's based here in Austin. And they asked me about 2 years ago, they said, hey, we're going to move to more of a solution area focus. You can pick, you can do data and AI, or you can do security. Which one do you want to do? And I am really, really bad at math. Data and AI is super important. It's going to change all of our lives. I do not find it as interesting as I find security. Like I love the stories that come out of security. I love the people who are in our security organization. Like everyone has been open and welcoming and just amazing to work with. So I feel like I made good choices. So yeah, I've only been doing this about 2 years. But the nice thing is because security is about incentives and it's very much about addressing the change in people's behavior, it's not all that different than a lot of business conversations. So it's been a really fun transition.
I think I think one of the first things you and I worked together on, Kat, was kind of a mixture of the two, wasn't it? We were working with a customer that were interested in security for AI, right? If you remember that.
Yeah, and it's wild to think about that conversation because that conversation was
A long time ago.
roughly 4 years ago, and in some ways like very prescient to some of the questions that we're trying to answer today, like the things they were asking you about, like security and some of the problems that they were having in their data and AI practice, like are problems we're still trying to figure out today. So yeah.
Yeah, and one of the coolest thing is when we have guests on the show, whether it be this month, whatever, we don't have to guess people ages, how long they've been doing it. We just listen to the technology they worked on. I can get your age within 4 years. You know, and if you're not sure, you ask.
Or catalog, and we're good. Like, that's
it. Did you ever work at Gateway?
Oh,
no, but I had a Gateway PC, like the PC with the cow print on the box.
Oh,
I had one of those.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. That's back in
Yeah.
the day. That's back in the day. Hey, before we get into more like Microsoft centric stuff, I just want to ask like a question about your past. So when you were back in the day, you helped design the telemetry offboarding system for the F-35 with Lockheed Martin, and I just want to learn more about that project, its significance, and then as a Canadian citizen who's about to buy 16 of these things, how easy is it for the U.S. government to turn them off? Thank you.
Yeah, it was a really interesting project because it was something that Lockheed Martin was working on, and they still work on it today. So I'll be a little careful in the details.
Of course.
But you can look up Lockheed Martin F-35, and you can see that that's a project that they're still working on. But the question that they were trying to solve was, okay, so you have these fighter jets, they have all this onboard telemetry, they're closed systems that use their own operating systems because like security. When they land and they do all the sort of like system checks, the maintenance, what also needs to happen at that time is they need to download all the telemetry from the fighter jet, study that, make adjustments to the plane, all in this sort of like F1 pit stop that happens when they land on a carrier. And so what they were trying to figure out is how could we very quickly and very cheaply download a whole bunch of data, run some analytics on it, blast it away, so there's no record of it, and then do the exact same thing with another fighter jet. And so it was a pretty cool project that we got to work on. But that one was like multi-year. Like the person who inherited that account from me, and then the person inherited that account from her is still working on that same opportunity, which is where like our partners make a huge difference in how Microsoft and other companies in the ecosystem go to market, because like that person's changed 4 or 5 times, but you know, Lockheed Martin is still there, right? And they're kind of holding those records and holding that sort of like historical institutional knowledge of that project. And that's what we rely on a lot of partners for, is having that historical context, because a lot of times people come and go so quickly at large organizations that we really don't have enough historical context to make really good decisions when it comes to like these longer projects that we have with customers.
Very cool. Very cool. That'd just be a really fun engagement to be on, and I'm sure it's an ongoing
Oh,
source of
yeah.
development for
Yeah,
everybody involved.
They use Windows Vista. It does an automatic for them whether you want it or not.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see, being on the federal side of things, like how many technology choices were driven by like a security desire to not be on the latest and greatest thing.
Yes.
Like when I was at Dell, and that was quite a while ago that I was in the federal group, we were still putting floppy drives into computers, like custom shipping them to a location somewhere here in Texas, like retrofitting a floppy disk drive into the chassis and then shipping it out to the like final destination, because they were still like doing changes to code using floppy disk because it was super secure, because no one had floppy disk drives anymore. Like just some of that stuff was really wild to work on.
Yeah, for a while, Dell and Compaq were becoming federal powerhouses in the PC delivery day. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, doing those things. Yeah. And then you had to have a complete STIG review when you guys decided to put CD-ROMs inside computers. that was an evolution. I remember that. Doing that. So you at Microsoft, you're doing all the lazy race thing, and you're keeping all the SIs nice and happy and everything. What challenges are you doing now? What is keeping Miss Cat very curious? What did you say? Very curious.
Yeah, what I'm trying to figure out is, and I'm sure you guys think about this too, is like, where is the intersection points between the various Microsoft technologies? Because when you look at security as a standalone and as a pure play sort of thing for Microsoft, you know, there just really is as much work there as there is in, like what you were talking about earlier, Brody, is like you're standing up an Azure landing zone that has some hard-coded like security components in it, right? Like, you're probably setting up Azure Bastion, you probably have a firewall, you're probably setting up PIM, you're probably loading, I would say, like one of the cloud security posture management tiers into that as sort of like a hard-coded offering. And so it's really interesting for me to think about these larger global system integrators who are doing migration work, they're doing app dev work, they're doing data and AI work. How do we infuse security into every single practice pillar so that we're driving security at each of those partners without driving security as a standalone pillar? Because that can be a harder conversation. As if you think about Fortune 500 companies, I don't think you would go to any one of those and ask them about their security posture, and they'd be like, "Oh, we just don't have anything." Like, what, security? Like, no, we haven't. We've decided that's not really like a strategic and core priority for us this year. So they all have
Right.
some sort of security solution currently in place. So then the question becomes, okay, we want to displace that potentially with something that's Microsoft. That's going to take a while, right? And it's going to be a lot of conversations. But if we can infuse security into some of these other elements, like, it makes it much easier for customers and partners to see the value of the overall Microsoft story.
Yeah, well, I think in some respects, I had this conversation when I was in Denmark because we did a Secure Future Initiative session. And that is kind of sort of top of mind for a lot of customers. But at the same time, where they are at in their secure journey is different per customer. And they don't even know, really. They don't even realize it. So they may have a solution in place already where they believe they're kind of covered across the different zero trust stacks. But at the same time, if you start to dig into it and ask the questions, you realize that there are gaps in the thing that they've determined that they needed to roll out, and they didn't realize it because they were kind of, I hate to say it, but kind of just sold a story versus, kind of sold, a full integrated solution across the board. So I think in that respect, I think even at Microsoft, we have the ability to go in and take a look at where these gaps are, and maybe help with that, or provide maybe potentially a more of an overall perspective where they can capture the security across the board instead of the small amount sometimes that they actually have. So.
Yeah, hire consulting services at Microsoft. 100%, we can do that.
Yes. Brody is available. 1-800.
All the time.
Call you look at the catalog. Call.
That's a Zero Trust Essentials project. Yep, 100%. Great to lead on other work. Yeah, but like honestly though, Rod, I mean the point also, either they're sold a story or they're just so focused on the day-to-day and the reactivity, and they're in that echo chamber, unintentional echo chamber at times, that they you just need somebody to come in and give that holistic opinion, right? And I think everybody could use that. I mean, we do that when we have a health concern. We go and see a professional and we get another opinion, right? And I think everybody needs to be doing that, organizations included.
Well, I think those organizations need to take a zero trust approach to the trust or the zero trust that they're being told about. So.
We keep
Is that a joke? I like that.
Yeah, there was a joke in there somewhere. It just didn't come out right.
Yeah, right. Bit of a pun, bit of old man pun there. I like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
All these things. I think what we're seeing in resurgence is all the things that Kat said is that, there was a huge gold rush on, find the most talent, find the smartest people, find all these things. But I'm starting to see a swing back toward finding the effective leadership. You got a whole lot of smart people out there. The leadership is lacking oftentimes, right? You got a team full of superstars. They need that leadership to be able to do it. But you're right. You said it, bro. The day-to-day eats you up. I'm surprised if I'm a CISO, I am going to have a deputy CISO. Whatever that title is, right? Someone that can help with the execution and delivery. Trying to do it all, recipe for disaster. It just is. And
then also when you think about what the pipeline actually looks like, the most important piece of the pipeline is continuous improvement. And I think a lot of organizations sometimes forget that piece of it. So even security is in a continuous improvement motion. So you may put something in place today and think that you've got it all covered, but target moves in the next 2 or 3 months. So you have to kind of, again, go down that process to determine if what you have deployed is, if it suffices.
Yeah,
I think leadership to quit thinking about continuous improvement.
Yeah, in my experience, though, and I wonder, Kat, if you can speak to it, it's not so much that organizations are forgetting, right, or missing the mark. They're running into barriers with all of the other stakeholders. And so there's a lot of friction. And they don't have the resourcing necessarily to do their day-to-day, as Brody was saying, and then also push this initiative forward, right? And so they have to prioritize. And so, Kat, is that part of your role and responsibilities to help strategize around what could lubricate or get traction around those kinds of disconnects or those kinds of friction points?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 things in that, which is one, absolutely, there are points of friction in our business, and it's really understanding, how can you overcome those? And those are usually fundamentally people problems, right? Either we have a different set of rules that we're playing from, a different set of incentives, and we need to find some place where we can both win together, or it's a scenario where there's been historical misunderstanding of what each side is bringing to the table, and we need to find some way to bridge that. So that's part number 1 is okay, let's go out and figure out how to make friends. But then the other piece of it too is the Jurassic Park problem is just because you can do something, why are you doing it? And is doing it something that actually drives the business forward in a meaningful way? Are you accidentally creating an entire pack of velociraptors and now you're committed to caring and feeding for the velociraptors, right? Or is there a different way that you can look at the problem? And what I get to do, because I'm looking at the overall strategy of the business, is I get to take a step backward and say, is this even something that makes sense for us to be doing? And I think, that was one of the number 1 pieces of coaching we provided to even small business owners that were doing Microsoft Business, is that you have to take time and step outside of the business, stop working in the business and work on the business. And so for a lot of these CISOs, it's taking that step back and saying, just because we've historically always done things this way, does it make sense to continue doing them? Is it meeting our needs? do we have all these detections in place that aren't firing? Why do we still have these things? Why do we still maintain them, right? And the extra brain power and effort that you have to put into that, it's a lot, but it does pay off in the long run.
Well said. And
Oh, that's
the
amazing.
Jurassic Park
Yeah.
theory or whatever, I love that.
I like
That's
that.
fantastic.
And I don't like this is completely off top. Like, first of all, again, you're very profound. Like, take a step back and work on the problem, not like within just like the myopic dimension of the business. Just wanted to share with you, Kat, and I know we know each other personally, but you were not aware of this. Somebody recently said I'm like all three velociraptors in the newest Jurassic Park movie, and they're like, "This is how you make me feel, Ray. You're all three of the velociraptors," and I'm like this all the time. They love it. That's great. But like the fact that you called it out, this is a strangely kismet, like this is a moment we're having. So you've taken me there. I'm there right now. And all I want is just more of your like sermons right now, Kat.
Well, I was going to say, this is how we met each other, is our mutual love of Star Trek Voyager and B'Elanna Torres. I don't know how other people do networking, but the way that Ray and I do networking, which is probably the Velociraptor thing, is that we just ping people when they say something really cool on like a panel or on LinkedIn, and we're like, "Hey, you seem awesome. We should be best friends." Like,
Yes.
what are your interests? Like,
like Kat, genuinely, you watch the show, right? Yeah. Like you were a fan. You're like, "Hey, by the way, I actually watched this show. I saw your episode. I love B'Elanna." But then you like started like delving into like the whole, like the entire series, like the characters, the saga of it, interconnectedness, and the representation, the whole like
the
identity.
Whole thing.
Yes. And I was like, okay, no, this is serious business. I was like, hold on, let me get my glasses. Like, I took out my contacts, put my glasses on, and I started typing my own thesis statements. So yes, you're bona fide, Kat. Like you are a fan of the show and also a fan of Star Trek. And you gave me the confidence to come back, basically.
Nice.
Yes.
And hey, let's all be honest here. Tuvix deserve to die, right? I mean,
yes, I am.
Yeah,
in
100%.
First of all,
100%.
yes. Yeah.
I want to get that clear.
I don't know where we go with that.
So that brings up an interesting topic, because it seems like, you got the camaraderie between you two friends. I guess you're best friends. You must have reached out on LinkedIn. I'm not sure, but
Lots of sex.
Talking about mentorship. Yeah. Well, we've talked about the technical piece. I kind of, since it is women in cyber, I kind of want to
go with him on this segue. He's nailing it right now. This is Ron.
On the personal
okay, he's getting us back on track. Here we go. Yeah. Okay.
It's the hat. But from a mentorship perspective, obviously you're stalking people on LinkedIn. I guess that works for you. But
it does.
From a mentorship, how do you, number one, how do you stay up to date on security within our organization for our customers? But then also, is there kind of a level of mentorship, I guess, that goes with that potentially, other than just kind of training and things like that?
Yeah, I try and make sure that I have as many sort of like diverse perspectives in what I'm attempting to do. So you'll see me pop up in the craziest places. Like I'll attend a strategy call, and then I'll attend a call like where they're, discussing like a new feature that's available for Purview, in the portal. Like I try and make sure that I'm not very single-mindedly focused on just being in my little zone, in my little lane. Like I'll attend calls across other solution areas just so I can kind of stay up to date on what's happening, what's going on, because you never know when something's going to be interesting or like spark a thought, or I'm going to make a connection with someone that, like today, we might not have something in common, but the world of Microsoft is really small. The world of security is very small. The world of technology is very small. I might run into you, 3 or 4 years down the road. We're in different roles, but we have an opportunity together, and now we have this area of commonality. So I try and make sure that I have just a diversity of experiences, because I think all of that really helps inform what I do day to day, and kind of makes me very much this like MacGyver Swiss Army knife when it comes to being able to help people. And that's the other thing too. Like, yes, I mentor people. Yes, I have people who mentor me, but I also just try and be as helpful as possible. Like this is within my power to help you do something, and it's going to put you into a better place and put the world into a better place. Like I will do that thing if I have the capacity to do it, because not that I expect that to come back to me or I expect that to pay off down the road, but just, I have the opportunity to work for an amazing company with amazing people, and I see no reason why I shouldn't pay that forward.
Yeah. And so how do you like decompress so that you can be that person all the time? Obviously, we can't be that person all the time, but are there things that you could suggest maybe to our audience, some ways that you have potentially this work-life balance? Because I know me, I'm going to go take a run just so I can clear
Yeah.
my head sometimes, right? So what is it for you? Is it watching Star Trek? I don't know.
No, it changes because I think who you are as the person changes, and the things that work for you
Yeah.
at different stages of your life change. Right now, for me, it's exercise. I actually listen to your podcast while I'm mowing the lawn. Like
Oh,
that's kind of look. It's a big yard. Like it
how
takes a
big?
while. So, it's an acre. It's an acre.
Nice. So got a riding lawnmower. You got a John
You
Deere,
gotta get you a
obviously.
tractor.
No, I have a
No.
push lawnmower.
Oh, push. Oh, nice.
It's
Okay.
really it's good exercise. It's about 17,000 steps, and
Love it.
I'm a shorter person, so I get quite a few steps doing it. But like I'll put on a podcast and I'll listen to you guys, and like I'll do the yard, and like for me that's just really relaxing, and have like
Mm,
some of my best ideas when I'm out there, just
yeah.
not looking for that idea. It's sort of like a connection shows up. You're like, oh, someone mentions this something on a podcast. I go, oh, that's really interesting. Um, like, oh, Edward, I haven't thought about vSphere in a million years. Like, I wonder if we can do something really cool there. Like, so that's definitely for me. Exercise is the go-to.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I appreciate that actually. That's one of my things, whether it's running or something else. I think Edward does pretty much the same thing.
Pretty much. It's easy. It's good out there. I don't listen to the podcast, so I can only take so much rod. But
Well, yeah.
I know the acreage in the world. It's like double torture. I'm gonna cut an acre by hand and listen to this podcast. Right? You're marine tough. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's a big yard for a push mower. Just gonna throw that out there. That's a lot.
And then she's cutting the crop circles at the same time.
We need to get a GoFundMe going for one of those robotic lawnmowers for
Yes.
Oh, that thing would like
No.
close up like 17 times before it was done on that big of a lawn. That's
Yeah.
Then you can just sit on the porch, drink a lemonade, and listen to the podcast that way.
Well, I would have thought, when I want to relax, I just kick my feet up, have me some lemonade, and I take the old guitar out and I play. You play, right?
Because you see the guitar in the
I
back.
play the guitar.
Yeah,
right?
I do. Oh,
Yeah.
you play too, Rod? Sweet.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ooh,
You know what? We should start a band. Raise a
this is great.
I'm
More
on
of
the
you.
tambourine.
Yeah.
work.
I also will do percussion something. Yeah.
You're like Animal. You'll play the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
I
Well, I know
like
that you
this.
play. I know that you play guitar, but you also play. Oh, my daughter's coming in. Sorry. I know you also play board games, and that really excited me when you sent your bio. And so I have a
Yes.
nerd. I like outside of okay. When you're combining your love of board games and your role, right? How do you what can you take away from your board game and aficionado in terms of your day-to-day strategies for managing cybersecurity?
Yeah, no, so funny. We were actually talking about this earlier because we had some nerd friends over yesterday, and like the kids did a play date and we played board games, so we had our play date, and we were playing Wingspan. Which, have you played Wingspan?
I haven't played that one yet.
Oh, it's so good. It's like so the concept is pretty simple. You are trying to put together an aviary of a whole bunch of birds from across the globe, and each of those birds has different attributes, and you try and basically maximize the attributes of the birds. And it's all about playing the right card at the right time, because it's very limited turns. Like, it's a turn-based game and you only have so many turns, and then every single round that you play, you have fewer and fewer turns. So as the game progresses, the decisions you make have that much more impact, right? You really can't make mistakes. And we were discussing like what happened, how we managed to lose yesterday, because one of the parents snuck in at the very end and won by like 2 points, and we're like, how did that happen? And my wife and I were discussing it. What we realized is the woman who won didn't do anything differently in terms of like what cards she played and when. She just made sure to maximize every possible KPI that you can in the game. So the KPIs are like, you lay eggs on a certain nest at a certain time, or you have a certain number of birds in a certain type of habitat at a certain time in the game. And what she very cleverly did, like she wasn't killing it, but in every round, she did the best that she could in each of the KPIs that mattered. And she overall ended up winning the game. And we're like, damn.
She
like,
gamed the game.
Wait, as opposed to what was your approach?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, good question. Yes.
So my approach was I had 4 or 5 powerhouse cards. And I was like, okay, I'm going to save up enough resources so I can play my powerhouse cards at the end. And like, so I'm going to lull my opponents into a sense of complacency.
Psychological warfare here.
Right.
I love this.
With birds. It's a great game.
It looks beautiful. I'm looking at pictures right now. What a beautiful setup. Like all the eggs and everything.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So the person you played against, did it happen to be Natalia, Anna, or Beth? Because their names are on that webpage. I think she pumped you.
No, this Ashley, one of the parents of like goes to my kid's school. But
oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, no, so I was gonna play these powerhouse cards at the very end, and like boom, right across the finish line, right at the very end, no one's gonna be able to have a comeback. And where I made a mistake in my strategy is because I was not doing the little things along the way. Even though I racked up a ton of points, but but not enough in the end, because it is that turn-based, round-based game. So it does factor in like what I do today with our partners. Yeah, we have some big moments with them. We have some partnership moments, and those moments matter. But then every day we also have to do all those little things, and we have to do them as well as we can, because that's what's going to translate into long-term success.
Oh, I'm so happy you asked that question, and you nailed the like this. Thank you. It was perfect. And I don't think me and my buddies are going to pick up the bird game because it's not like not as cool for us, where it's like swords and war and everything. But that's a very cool looking game.
Oh,
and
Add that in, Brody. You're like, and by the way, no,
that's something different.
Look, I would try any game, but these guys would not play that game. I'm just like they're more into like Warhammer or like other things, right? But anyway, I just think that your response is perfect there, right? You were saving up your big cards, like you're going to make a big splash, but along the way you didn't do the little things, and like you tied that into security perfectly. And I mean, like, hey, isn't that just like every organization out there just needs to be focusing more on the little things each and every day and incrementally not only maintaining but getting better, right? And not just trying to maybe buy the new tool, right? Your big splash could be like, oh, I'm getting this new tool, it's going to solve all my security, right? Like it's rarely that's actually going to be the thing, it's a garden that you have to tend over time. It's not just I'm buying a new plant and this plant's going to make my garden sick and self-sustaining. You still have to tend the garden. So thank you.
I think Brody, you brought up something else also without realizing it, because I think a lot of organizations are like, I'm going to go for the big exciting stuff instead of the kind of the normal off the wall stuff that's actually going to benefit me more. So instead of the sword and sorcery games versus the bird span or wingspan. Sorry, I would
actually try this game, but I just always want to do it. It looks really cool though, all the little eggs and everything.
Yeah. If you guys are going to RSA, I'll bring my copy. We'll find a time to play.
Yeah, I wish I were.
That was a flex, Cat. You're like, by the way, you don't have to play Wingspan because I'm going to be at RSA.
I love it. Yeah.
You find yourself at RSA. Okay. Yeah. And I'll play Wingspan.
Hey, if I could get there, or
me too,
the ability to, I would totally go and kick your butt because now I know your weakness. But no, I'm happy that you're going.
Now I'm going to change my strategy.
Oh, I hope you would. Yeah.
What?
The decathlon effect. That's how she won. You don't have to win gold.
Like Pat with she gets in your head, man. She's just like, hey, no problem, Brody. We can play. I'll see you at RSA if you're good.
You bring your swords. Yeah.
You're gonna be there.
You bring your warhammers.
And Pat watches the show, so she knows we're not going to be at any conference because we're not Rod. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
I'll Never mind, Brody. Don't say it. I won't be at RSA this year. Have a good time. I wish I could
That was
battle you in this video
amazing.
game.
That was like the biggest like mic drop. Like, don't worry about it, Brody. I'll teach you how to play.
Oh, I
Are you
know. I
gonna be there?
would love it. I would absolutely love it. I'd like to hear about all the other games you play too. But like, okay, so one more like tying here. Okay, so we actually talked about gardening a little bit, board games, your hobbies, but like, okay, so it's Women in Security Month, and so like, how do you believe women will play, a better role in the future of cybersecurity, and how can the industry better support their growth and development as someone who's in the industry yourself and has had all of this success? Excuse me.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like I've done more technical roles at Microsoft, and I've done them at Dell, and I've done less technical roles, right? More strategy focused or more business focused. And it's really interesting to look like at the population of people who participate in those types of roles, right? So like my role today is strategy focused, sales focused, and if I look at the organization I'm in, like we're doing pretty good. We're probably 50-50 male female. The executive I work for, like an awesome guy named Stephen Boyle, he just collects smart people like little Pokemon. He collects them all. So he has these just amazing. Yeah, he is just amazing people with just this wealth of experience, right? And we've got a pretty good, sort of gender and experience split. But then, you go to the more technical side of the house, and those teams are skewed in a slightly different way, right? And you see that across organizations, just not at Microsoft. And it's just, I think there's a lot of opportunity to just sit down with someone and be like, it's not as technical as you think it is, right? Because it really is not. And you have a lot of support, and you have Copilot to help you. And
yeah,
like, the barriers to entry have never been lower, and like your perspective is needed. Because fundamentally security is about people, and it's what people do in response to certain things and certain levers. And it's important you have multiple perspectives in that conversation, because you're going to miss something really super obvious. Like as part of my MBA, I was taking a class at Texas State, and they were talking about disaster recovery scenarios, because we had a guest speaker who came in who was from one of the Texas school districts. And he's like, yeah, we put together this entire disaster recovery plan. Like, it was really great. It was, this is what would happen in the event of a cyber incident. This would be what would happen in the event of like the power grid going down in Texas. We'll have these generators, like we'll be able to do all this cool stuff. And he's like, yeah, we thought it was like the greatest plan ever. And someone raised their hand and was like, so how are you going to get gasoline for the generators in the event the power goes out because we have a freeze event and all the roads are closed? Like, explain to me exactly how that is going to happen, right? And that's not a technical answer. Like, you don't need to know how to code to just have common sense. And I think there were more people who were kind of willing to reach across the aisle and just be like, look, yes, I do technical stuff day in, day out. It's super helpful to have that perspective and that background to be able to understand things when they're told to you the first time. But like, you're a smart person, you can figure this out, and you should come over here because it's pretty freaking cool. Like, I think I think more people should go and advocate like that. And like all of you, like I've interacted with, I think everyone at some point, like you've been nothing but welcoming to me, and like always been available and always been helpful. And I feel like everyone in the cyber community has, generally speaking, been that, but it's just figuring out how do we reach outside of our community to be like, no, like you have common sense. You should come over here and do this with us. I think that's what we have that's missing.
Nice. And I also heard just women have more common sense, and so we need more women in the industry. It's basically the underlying current I got from that. But no, really.
I mean, I will neither confirm nor deny that statement.
It would be nice if you could code common sense. That would make it so much easier. Here, this might be controversial. Let me ask this question. Let's take a poll. Is Copilot male or female?
Is this like the Discovery computer question? Like,
Yeah, right.
Ooh.
No,
Good
you
tie
just
into Star Trek.
you were
It's
talking about it. I'm
beyond
thinking,
gender.
you know,
It's
yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
is what it is.
literally-
Yeah.
it's whatever's
That's
clear,
easy.
Rod. That's the technical answer. Okay.
That's easy. It's male. It'll give you the wrong answer, know it's wrong, and stand on it.
Yeah. Well,
Love it, Edward.
Security
Perfect.
Copilot. Definitely.
Go
not.
down in flames.
Yeah.
Knowing the
Yeah.
right answer, right?
Arrogantly incompetent. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arrogantly incompetent.
It straight up lied to me the other day. Said it could do something. I'm like, okay, prove it. Show me you doing this. It's like, oh, I can't actually do that. Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. So
I asked for a KQL query today for something very specific for an operator, and it said, "Yeah, here's your KQL query." I looked at it. I'm like, "Are you sure that actually works?" It said, "No, it actually it's not supported."
at least it has a growth mindset, though.
Yeah, it is. But
Yeah.
I'm here to please. You wanted an answer. You didn't say you wanted the right answer.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Edward.
Yeah. Prompt engineering, Rod. Really.
Prompt engineering. That's what we got to get back. So you know what? Now we bring that up. We've been trying to reduce the Copilot conversation in our podcast. What do you think about this Copilot stuff? Whatever your flavor it is, it can be 365 Copilot, Git, Copilot, Security Copilot, Copilot for Copilot. What are your thoughts on this thing?
Yeah,
I just work in a different way. It's makes you a better person.
I think it's fascinating because, you know, I love science fiction, as do all of you, from everything sitting behind you except for Edward. We got to work on your swag game. Like, you don't have enough tchotchkes. We've got to work on your flair. No, it's like, it's really interesting to me because like having grown up with something like Star Trek, you know, you think about the computer on Star Trek, it wasn't replacing people, but you'd have Chief O'Brien going like, "Hey computer, I need you to run a level 3 diagnostic and then report back to me." And what the computer would do is it'd go run, you know, a level 3 diagnostic, which is probably like a standard operating playbook of this long. It'd go run that playbook and then it'd come back and be like, "Hey, here's the stuff that I found. Here, human, make a decision." And it's fascinating because that is now our reality. And I love it for that reason. And I love it because it has the ability to sort of like shore up. So as we get older, it's harder and harder to learn new things. Let's just be honest. And it really shores up some of the things that we've always struggled with. And at this point in our lives, we're probably not going to overcome. Like, math is not my thing. It has never been my thing. My brain does not work like that. But you know who is great at math? Copilot. So I can be like, "Hey, what's the ratio?" Like, I was having a conversation about like with our finance team, and they're like, "Well, we really like to have it at this ratio." And I was like, "Cool. Hey Copilot, what would it look like if it was this ratio? What would it look like if it's this ratio?" Like, you know, so I've got what would have taken me forever in Excel to figure out before, like, here, calculate the growth percentage for me. Like, it kind of does that work for me. And it's not that it's not work that I don't know how to do. It's just work that I don't enjoy and I'm not great at. So like for me, this is fun. We're living in the future. Like, I don't have to do math anymore. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm winning on multiple fronts.
No kidding. And math's actually a good use case because it's like you can't, you know, it's math. It's supposed to be constant. And
It is until you miss the trampoline out of the rocket, out of the cannon. Yeah.
Well, calculus is a little different, right? Because then you get into like when numbers can be two different things at the same time, and I'm sure that's not going to work for Copilot.
Well, all it takes
maybe
is
it will.
All it takes is
Not
for you to
yet.
have one bad day, ask Copilot, you know, in a wrong way, and it sends you on a trajectory that you'll never come back from.
Yeah, but if you go back to the Star Trek example, like the computer would plot the course and then it'd have a navigator confirm that the course
Yeah,
was correct, right? Like, so you always have that human who's sort of like checking the computer's work. Even in the future, when we have universal peace and we have replicators, so we don't have money anymore, and everything's based on people's reputation, like even then they weren't replacing people with that technology. They were just using it to make their lives better. So like that is my hope and my dream for all of the Copilots.
If it was based on reputation and Copilot was in charge, there would be less people.
What? Why
There.
are we?
that's the Borg, Rod.
And-
That's the Borg.
and-
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And we're back to mortality. That didn't take long.
Board.
Yeah.
Okay, before I
If
don't
you
know.
ask
Sorry.
Copilot, it will give you the answer. What is the recipe or the solution for peace? Eliminate all humans.
Yeah.
Uh,
Works, right? Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Now I
We
feel self-conscious that I don't have enough, sci-fi swag, background. I got to get that fixed now.
I mean, we love your whiteboards, but maybe you could like draw a picture of Spock or something. Just
Once I got Goku back there.
Just
yeah.
a
Oh
combat.
yeah, I see that. Yeah.
a com badge. I love that. Hey,
We need an
Kat, I forgot to ask
uplifting
this before.
question to end the show, Ray.
I want to get one more in before the uplifting. Have
okay.
you played the Star Trek board game? Because I bought that recently,
no.
and it's fun. And there's expansions. So the base model starts with like it's Federation versus Borg, and it's either on a Federation ship or then on the flip side it's on a Borg ship. And then
How
you can
do
buy
you meet-
expansions. It's called Star Trek Away Missions.
How do you
Very
meet people to play these
Okay.
things with? I don't know how to do that. Everybody's having board game fun.
I have 3 other 40-ish something guys who all now don't go out and get slaughtered at the bar on weekends, and
slaughtered at
we
the
want
bar.
to hang out. We want to hang out and play games, and we all like Star Trek. So that's the thing. I mean, we started playing Hero
Ooh,
Quest.
I
We
feel
played like
As a
Warhammer.
40-year-old
over
woman, I
COVID.
can't just be like, hey, somebody want to like come over and play board games with me? That's
I don't know. Go on a community forum or something. I don't know. I honestly I don't know how. But like anyway, Kat, you got to get the game or at least check it out. It's like $60, and then you can buy all these expansions. It's called Star Trek Away Missions. Very cool.
It'll
Check
be
it
at
out.
RSA. You can
It'll be at RSA. Yeah,
It'll be
if
at
I get to
RSA.
RSA, if I will bring it and we will play. There you go. But sorry, Rod, do your uplifting question, please.
Oh, it's not for me. There's no way I can come back from that last joke about AI and humans. I was hoping Ray would. Ray's great at coming up with uplifting things.
Yeah, Ray.
optimistic perspectives. Well, Kat, when can we expect you presenting at conferences? Because you are very wise. You are very engaging. Like you have illuminating perspectives. When can we see some of that? And forgive me if it's already happened and we have not been highlighting it sufficiently.
No, that is a good question. I was at PAX 8's Beyond event last year, presented in a couple of sessions with Matt Lee, who is amazing, and some folks at PAX 8, but I don't have anything on the calendar now. I will take that challenge. I will find an opportunity to do some public speaking, and I will let you know.
Yeah,
That
I
would be
hear that
great.
there's an experts live in New York. Rod, can you speak to that? Like it's coming, right? Is it coming?
It is coming. Actually, I know the individual that's putting that together, and there's also one in Texas, which I'm actually
Ooh.
going to help out with.
Hello.
So, yeah.
This was not coordinated, Kat. This is just again.
No. I actually forgot about that. So thank you, Ray. Yeah.
See, I gave you an opportunity, Rod, to show that you were.
You nailed it, Ray. You nailed it as
There you
usual.
go.
There you go. There you go.
No.
Speaking of conventions and everything, what's coming up next? Actually, not RSA. What's Microsoft centric that's coming up? Is it secure? Build?
We do have a secure event. Yep. At the end
Yep.
of
Okay. All right.
soon, and we have some cool things to announce. So stay tuned.
Oh well, I like cool things to be announced. We can do that, right? Well, this has been awesome, Kat. It is good to talk to you. That's not inside of a meeting. I guess it's sort of technically a meeting, but you know, I have to raise my hand. You ignore me on the meetings. Like anyone else, like, I'm right here, Kat. I'm asking a question. You're not supposed
And
to do
I am
this.
so sorry if I did that.
You're like, "Ah."
Don't apologize to him. No.
Good question, So, thanks for coming on the show. You're more than welcome to come back at any time. Thank you for giving your perspective. I love seeing people who come in and tell a story, and then it makes you think like, oh yeah, I used to have one of those. Oh yeah, I plugged that in and blew out the fuses in my house. Yeah, I remember that right there. I can do that. So, and having fun and downloading information from fighter jets. That's pretty cool.
Nothing to sneeze at for sure.
And they're probably using that same thing that you developed a while back. They're still doing it.
Because it
Plug
was
in
just
like,
that
"Whoa."
good. Not that it's like legacy. It's just that good.
Yeah,
But
plug
that's
in the
why.
coaxial cable here, and then you're good.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Even on the St. Patty's Day, we have our listeners that love to ingest spirits at the same time get enlightened around security, all things Star Trek. Thank you, Ray, for getting a great guest on. I believe it is. That's it. That's how you do it. We will be back
Thursday. Thursday.
Is it Thursday?
Thursday, we have Brody's guest.
That's right, the 20th. I'm looking
Liz.
at it right here. Right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have Liz test
Yeah.
on. She's
3 more
awesome.
shows for the month.
Yes.
And then we have the grand finale on the 31st as I'm looking at the calendar here. So thank you so much. Hey, one of the things that when you signed the small paperwork, you're a part of our vacation rotation. So when one of us needs to take a day off, we push you in there so you have to come work. That's how it goes.
We could just play a board game the whole episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. We don't really have
Perfect.
KPIs, so we could just play a board game.
Oh, that's
You know what we
amazing.
should do?
Yeah.
We should do we already have a Twitch account. We should start playing podcast video games on the Twitch account. And Brody can be the game master.
The Dungeon Master. Yeah, the game.
The game master.
I may have, done
I
that
think we
from
should
time
play
to
some
time.
games
He
on
has
there.
experience. He has a track record of success.
Yeah. Well, to be a good DM, you need to know when to bend the rules for the sake of fun.
What is your OnlyFans link again, Brody?
Oh my lord.
Sorry. Was I not supposed to say that?
It's
This
the
is why I
thing
can't run for office.
I don't know
Play
what.
this show, now I can't run for office. My background check will never clear because I'm only here with these guys. Done. I have to stay in security. I can't get a public servant job these days. Anyway, Kat, I'm so sorry we subjected you to this. My apologies, deep sincere. I'll send you my little. What's that hat you have on?
The Tinka hat.
Tinka hat. They're all in the mail. They should be there soon. Well, I don't know if it'll get to Canada, but we'll see.
I don't either.
Fair.
I paid the tax.
They'll
Just so
probably
you know.
cut 25% of it off.
Yes, yes, that right there. Everyone, we'll see you Thursday before we completely go off the rails. We'll be March 20th. Who will be our guest?
Liz
Anyone?
Tesh. She
Liz
is
Tesh.
in the CSU. She's awesome. She's part of our security
Yes.
community. And she's
Not
gonna
not
talk
John
about
Tesh from
cyber resilience. Don't know
Yeah,
who that
we
is.
have to
old
say
man.
we have to
Right.
explain the acronyms because otherwise it sounds like the MCU. Like it sounds like the Marvel universe.
Grace right upon us.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think if we do an acronym count today, I'm really down the list. There's a lot of acronyms dropped here, but fair. I'll let Liz explain that acronym and many more on
Oh my
Thursday.
gosh.
Join us.
well, CYA.
Stay tuned.